So let's get one thing straight. Masculinity is not toxic. Weaknesses, insecurity is. So if you're walking on eggshells, avoiding being a man, avoiding stepping into your masculinity because you're afraid of being toxic, you could be part of the problem. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you one process or system that's going to help you to repattern your nervous system or reclaim your nervous system so women and the world respond to you powerfully. So before we get started, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share, and click that bell notification so you don't miss any of the powerful content that we've got coming out just for you. Now, let's get started. See, we've made masculinity the villain, but masculinity is not the problem. It's actually unanchored masculinity that's the problem. Basically, insecurity. It's men that are avoiding their masculinity. Basically, nice guys, or men that are overstepping their masculinity. They're just jamming it down your throat because they so badly want to be confident or they want to be masculine. They're overdoing it. Toxicity isn't strength. It's not masculine either. It's just insecurity or immaturity wearing a mask. It's men that haven't learned to truly step into their power that are toxic. And I used to be one of these men. I was the consummate nice guy. I had a huge nice guy problem for most of my life. You see, I was raised by a bunch of women, and I thought that avoiding tension, being nice, being supplicating, giving everybody what they wanted would get me what I wanted and really make people happy. But in reality, it made all the women I dated feel unsafe. It made them reactive. It actually kind of made them neurotic. And I had to pay the price. I had to make a change. And I realized one day that if I didn't change this, my whole life would basically suck. And so I went to work to make serious changes in my life. And that's when I really began to learn what masculinity really was. And it was completely different than what I thought it was or what I had been taught in my life growing up. That's because real masculinity isn't a performance. It's part of who you are. It's part of what you are built to do. Your body, if you're male, is built to run masculinity. And when you get to the realization of that and you get beyond this overperforming, forcing your masculinity and avoiding masculinity, and you get to the truth of who you are and what you're built to be, everything changes. So what does weakness really look like? What does this toxic masculinity, what they call toxic masculinity, which I don't believe is masculinity at all, what does that really look like? Over apologizing for desire is number one. So if you're over apologizing for having desires in life, like for example, you think that woman's beautiful and you think it's wrong to tell her that, that's a problem. If you're not being authentic and real when you talk to her, that's a problem. When you are editing your words to be extra nice, to lighten the tension, you go over and you tell her, for example, I just want to tell you you're really beautiful, and you get really light with your words. That's really avoiding your masculinity, because what you might really want to say from deep down inside, if you listen to your gut, you listen to your masculinity, and you stop apologizing for being it, is something more like, damn, I thought you were sexy and I just had to come meet you. Or there's just something about you. Look at you. Who are you? I just really want to meet you. It's about getting real with the person in front of you and getting authentic, because that's what people really respond to. The problem with that is that the authenticity that's inside of you, often comes with tension, often comes with even vulnerability mixed in with that tension. And when those two are in balance, you're attractive, you're sexy. But if you avoid that or you force it, like some guys do, then you're out of balance with your masculine and your feminine. And in that point, you're creating what a lot of people like to call toxic masculinity, which again is not masculinity at all. Another example with this that goes along with this is avoiding your sexual desires. Like, do you have sexual desires? Do you apologize for enjoying sex as a man? Do you apologize for being a sexual being? If you're doing that, that's also avoiding owning your masculinity, your maleness, for lack of a better term, for your manness. I don't know what way to say it, but your power as a man. Seeking validation is another one. If you're avoiding tension by seeking validation and trying to get everybody to like you so you feel safe in the world, this is also a huge part of the weakness that comes with avoiding your masculinity. Then there's peacekeeping or avoiding confrontation. So many men do this, and women do it too, but we're talking about men here. And I used to do it like crazy. I would avoid confrontation at all costs, lie by omission, say half truths, edit my words so I didn't upset. I didn't call people out on things. I didn't tell people what they wanted to hear, even if they asked me directly, can you give me feedback on this? And I'd always lighten the response. Now, that's very different than being aggressive with the response for no reason. You want to keep your heart open. You want to be real. You want to be authentic, but don't avoid the tension of being honest with people. Sometimes it pisses them off in the moment, but if you're really real, you're really authentic, you're really grounded as a man, and you've got your heart open, you're going to find they're going to love you more for it in the future. Emotionally collapsing is another one. So many men do this. Do you emotionally collapse? I used to all the time. It's another form of avoiding conflict. I just can't take all the emotions coming at me anymore, whether it's at work or with my girlfriend or with people I'm meeting on the street, and I just collapse. I just drop inside and say, "Ah, fuck it," and I run from the emotions. And then last but not least is overperforming. I kind of already covered this one, but it's this idea of pushing too much tension. I'm going to force the tension. I'm going to close my heart and I'm going to push it. A good example of this, when I was a dating coach, I'd see guys go out to bars and they would say to them, just be confident. They didn't know what that meant actually. So they thought, well, I have to just be confident. So I'm going to do it. So they'd wall off their heart, put on their body armor, and they would go forward at 100 miles per hour talking to every woman in the bar, saying, "Hi, what's your name? Where are you from? Oh, tell me more about that." And it was so inauthentic because they were forcing, they were not stopping to feel the human being in front of them, that it just basically didn't work. And next, I want to talk about what masculinity really looks like. What is real, authentic, true masculinity? So, if you really want to improve this area of your life, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share, and definitely comment in the video. Those comments are really valuable to everybody. They help everybody to grow. So let's all grow together, and definitely put a comment in or a question. I'll be reviewing the comments myself and responding to them shortly after the video comes out. So, what is real masculinity? Let's dive into that right now. Grounded presence is number one. Learning to stand inside of yourself and be confident with who you are in the face of tension, in the face of emotion, in the face of the changing world outside of yourself. You see, grounded men, they're proactive, they're non reactive, and they're proactive to the world around them. They allow themselves to feel everything that's happening. They ground it. It's almost like a lightning rod. The energy runs through you, and they calmly respond. That doesn't mean they don't get angry, but they get angry from courage. They feel their heart open and they say, "I'm going to step into this fear and I'm going to deal with it." That doesn't mean they don't say no. That doesn't mean they don't guide or lead. But the first thing they do before they do any of that is they ground the situation out. And I've got a great video on grounding. It's an older video, but people love it. And we'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more about grounding. Leading, but leading is an interesting thing because a lot of people don't understand it. Leading as a man is really about channeling. It's about channeling the flow of energy from one place to another. It's the ability to receive somebody's input and not take it personal. And wow, does that make sense? I'm going to add it to my information and I'm going to lead from that place. It's about putting the right people in the right place. If you're leading as a man and you think these two people should meet, you're going to move this person over here to meet that person. You guys got to meet. You have, a lot of things in common. It's about encouraging somebody to express their talents. If I've got somebody in my life that really wants to be good at something, maybe photography, for example, and they're scared to put their work out there, then I'm going to encourage them to do it. Leading is about bringing the best out of people and creating win-win situations by channeling the flow of energy, not dominating and not controlling. A good example of this is my friend Zan. A lot of you might know who Zan Perrion is. He wrote the amazing book Alabaster Girl. If you haven't read it, you should definitely check that book out. But Zan once said to me, he goes, when I go to the movies with my wife, my girl, he likes to call her my girl, and he loves her a lot. And he says, I just want to cuddle up with her. Really, I don't even care about movies. I'm not a big movie person, but I just want to spend time with her. And I'll always ask her when we first go to the movies, because I really don't care, what movie do you want to see? And if she hesitates at all, if she says, I'm not sure, I know she's tired of making decisions today. She wants to be in her feminine. She wants to flow for me. So I'm immediately going to take charge right at that point. I'm going to say, okay, well, we're going to go see this movie. And I'll just pick one and we'll go. And she loves it. I'll take charge. I'll take the lead. And I'll let her surrender into me and be feminine for me. I love watching Zan and his wife sometimes because we'll be sitting there and we'll be playing guitar, hanging out in the living room, just the guys. She'll come through in one of her cute dresses because she loves to dress up and she's a very feminine woman. And he'll stop and he'll go, hey, baby, stop. And she'll go, what? And she'll turn and look and he'll go, turn around for us. You look so cute in that. Oh my God. And he'll comment on the dress and he'll tell her she's beautiful, but then he'll say something like, okay, you got to go. You're distracting us. We got something to do here. You got to go. Get out of the room. Stop distracting us. And she'll start giggling and laughing. It's this energy of taking charge of the moment, knowing when to insert energy, channel energy, flow energy to create those win-win situations. And if you look for them, you can see them everywhere. Another good one is using tension to grow. This is one of my favorites. I love to talk about tension, but when you begin to use tension as a tool, I have something called the Tension Journal, and I have a free copy of that. If you're interested in that free copy, find the link in the description or put a comment in the video. I'm not sure how we'll do it, but we'll do it. But the Tension Journal helps you to grow. It's learning to step into the right amount of tension for you. See, tension seeks resolution. Tension grows you. Tension makes you stronger. The masculine grows under tension. When the masculine is proactive with tension, you actually create more oxytocin in the body. This is a cuddle love drug where you feel very connected to other people and you bond under the stress of that tension. It makes men that are really good at creating this oxytocin, that are good at being proactive, actually become more powerful, more confident, more present under tension. They begin to seek tension because it makes them feel so good. Men that are bad with tension and reactive to tension, haven't developed their tension skills, create cortisol. And cortisol is very destructive to the body. It actually is destructive to the heart. And this is something that's really powerful. And there's a great video out there by Kelly McGonigal on how to make stress your friend. Definitely check that out because it goes through this study of how tension actually can produce this oxytocin or cortisol. It can either grow you or destroy you. It's your relationship to tension that is the real key to all of this, not the tension itself. The tension itself is what makes you wake up ready to seize the day when you have a powerful relationship to tension. Container. Containment is another powerful quality of the masculine. Having a really good container. This is like your child at the playground. You create a safe space for your child to fall down, skin his knee, get up, get hurt, get sand kicked in his face, and learn to deal with it. Learn to grow into a solid, confident human being because he's learning to interact. He's learning to make mistakes. But you make the space that you contain just big enough to be for that person that you're containing as the masculine to be able to grow, to be able to learn. You do this for yourself too as a man. The Tension Journal is a perfect example. You find out exactly where you're at, where you want to calibrate on that Tension Journal. You create a space and you grow with it. You do it for your whole family. That's the job of the masculine. Create a safe space for the feminine to fill up. If you think about primitive times, the masculine would go out, we would find a space in the jungle or the forest, we'd clear it out, we'd make sure the whole area around it's safe, and we'd build our community, right? And then inside of that, we would fill it up with food and homes and we'd make sure it had water. We had everything we needed. And the women would then come in and nurture it and bring in the love and the light, the energy that makes us feel alive. And if you get really good at creating containers and then inviting women into it, inviting people into it, they're going to love you because those are, again, win-win situations you're creating. You're using your leadership skills to create a solid container and not a tight squeezing container, but a container that expands and grows with time. And you're helping others to become the best versions of themselves. And they're going to love you for it. The masculine also loves input. They love to receive information from other people inside that flow I was talking about earlier. Part of leadership is you're constantly taking input from your advisors. Think about it. Every king out there has advisors. Every president has advisors. He's constantly taking in information, and then he's recognizing who's an expert in what area, and then he's putting that information back out for others to digest and convert into some type of results or some type of output. Well, you're doing the same thing. When you're out with your girl, it's not like she doesn't do anything. If you guys are having dinner together and you created a great space for her to come over and cook, you've lit the candles, you've set up the space, it's really romantic, it's beautiful, and she walks in the door, she doesn't just sit there while you cook dinner. Let's say you wanted to make her dinner. You can put her to work. If she's really good at something, why don't you do that while I do this? And you can even sit back at times if she's doing something she really loves doing and just watch her do it and enjoy it. Let her take care of you at times. If you create a really contained space, a woman's going to want to fill it. She's going to want to take care of you. Maybe she's going to want to come over and cook you dinner within that space. Another powerful quality of the masculine is your ability to ground emotional storms. When emotions go wild, when people get upset, people get angry, if you really develop your embodiment, your energetic embodiment, and your ability to let energy flow through your body, you're going to be able to receive those emotions. You're going to be able to ground them out, and you're going to be able to be really present with them. And this is really powerful when you think about it. Have you ever experienced a woman getting mad and you don't get reactive, you stay proactive, you receive her in, you breathe her in, you really listen to her, and instantly she just starts calming down and then she gets attracted to you? Or maybe you set a boundary, but you do it with an open-hearted way and she gets even more attracted to you. And the next thing you know, you two are in the bedroom going at it, or you're cuddling up together, or something amazing is coming out of that. So don't be afraid of women's emotions. Learn to receive them, learn to ground them out. Again, this is why learning to ground is so powerful, but particularly learning to ground other people's emotions, your woman's emotions. This doesn't mean that you're the dumping ground either. There's a big difference between being the dumping ground and just learning to ground. Being penetrating and definitive. This is one I've been thinking about a lot lately. I think some of the best, most masculine men out there, leaders, know how to be penetrating, know how to be definitive. They know how to speak decisively. They say, I am going to go do X. They don't say, I'm going to try, maybe, I hope. I'm thinking about going to the gym. No, I'm going to the gym today. They make decisions, they're definitive. They follow it through to some level of fruition. And then they basically accept the results. If it's good, bad, if it grows, it doesn't, and they learn from it and they make a new decision. They're constantly making decisions to step into tension, the right amount of tension for them, by being definitive and decisive, by speaking in a definitive, direct way, like I'm doing to this camera, and basically decisive. That's the way to put it. They're being decisive. That's the emotion of courage. If you look at the emotional scale on Lester Levin's scale or Hawkins' scale, that emotion of courage is the definitive level. That's the level where everything in your life begins to grow for the positive. That's also the level where your heart begins to open. And vulnerability. Masculine is not afraid of vulnerability. They're not afraid of being vulnerable. But don't confuse vulnerability with weakness or insecurity. And then we're going to talk about that more in a moment. Just remember that part of being masculine, it's the courage to step into tension, open that tension, and create flow of emotion. So the balance between masculinity and vulnerability is flow. And when you get it just right, when you hit that sweet spot, you create flow state. And there's nothing better than hitting many flow states in conversation, in flirting, in dating, in sex. And that's why you need the vulnerability. So don't confuse vulnerability with neediness. Now, with that said, let's dive a little deeper into vulnerability. So, vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is strength. Vulnerability is power. Vulnerability is when your heart begins to open. When you get good at vulnerability, you'll be able to ground emotions that come at you, because you're going to be able to ground your own emotions. When you can feel your heart and feel sad and own it confidently and say, yeah, I'm sad, but I can be right here. When you can feel lonely and own it, or angry and you can be right there, you could say, look, I'm pissed off, but I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to own this space in a grounded way. That's really sexy for a woman. That's really attractive for anybody. It makes them feel safe. And the more you have these emotions and own them, and you don't require, that's the key word, require somebody else to save you, the more likely they are to come back and actually want to nurture you, because they want to nurture somebody who is solid, who takes responsibility for their own lives. Reactivity is very unattractive. And this is true in women too. When women get super reactive to their emotions, we want to shut off on them. But a woman is vulnerable and open and feels everything, and she's just being with that moment, and she's letting it come through. Or maybe some tears are running down her face, but she's right there. She's not losing. It's kind of oddly sexy. She can flow and she can be with it. But we have our own version of that. It's more of a masculine, strong version. And that's basically what I'm talking about here. When you can learn to be vulnerable, like the fireman pulling the kitten out of the tree and giving it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he doesn't want to let it die because he cares so much, that's sexy to a woman. That's powerful to a woman. A man hugging his little child and loving his child so much because he cares deeply, that is sexy to a woman. So think about that. Think about what it is for you to be vulnerable but not needy, and what you would have to do to develop that. And we're going to have more on how to develop this stuff in a little bit. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about what women really respond to. Women aren't repelled by your power, your strength as a man, your masculinity. They're actually repelled by your instability. when your masculinity is out of control because you're unstable. But that's not really even masculine at that point, in my opinion. I look at that as some unstable energy that's out of balance. When you're really powerful as a man, you can be bold, you can be forward, you can say no, you can set boundaries, you can create containers, but you become actually way more attractive and more people want to follow you. More people want to get behind you and have you lead them. Even if you get angry at them, they get excited. Think about guys like Goggins or Dan Pena. They're a little aggressive, but one of the things I see with Dan Pena is there's a lot of guys out there that love to learn from Dan. And it's really interesting to me because they love to get yelled at by Dan. But I think that's because deep down inside, they feel that Dan really cares when he yells at them. He's trying to change them versus the guy that's yelling at them because he enjoys hurting them. Now, that's an extreme case, and I think that's a certain type of individual that loves that. But that's true at many different levels. When you look at somebody like Richard Branson, who steps into a lot of tension, but he's the quintessential vulnerable billionaire. He is, if you watch videos of him, so ridiculously vulnerable. It's incredible, and women love it. When you can learn to be truly vulnerable, think of the artist, the singer, the poet that women get attracted to, then you're on the right track. And when you combine that with a lot of masculinity, then you're really becoming powerful. Also, think about this. She doesn't want a yes man. She doesn't want a tyrant. She wants a man that's stable, that's solid. She doesn't need a lot from you. Actually, a lot of guys think they have to do everything. But as you start to nail these energies, you do less and less, and more people want to help you succeed. And that's one of the things I do at True Courage and Brian Bayesian coaching is I help men to live at the top of the emotional scale where life becomes very giving to you because you're giving to life. And that's, in my opinion, the ultimate level of masculinity. She also wants to be able to relax into you. She wants to be able to surrender her masculine completely because your masculine is so confident and solid. She wants to relax into your masculine and feel safe. And when she can do that, she is going to be so loyal and so connected to you if she's a healthy woman. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong. When I say that, there are people out there that are just mentally unstable. And if you're a really solid masculine man and you've worked these things out and you've got past your nice guy and your insecurity and you've worked really hard to become the best version of yourself, those women are going to weed themselves out. You're going to see it a mile away. You're going to do like my friend Joel did. Once he realized his worth and his power as a man, because he's a very powerful, successful man, he started dating women, and he'd say to them after the first or second date, no matter how hot they were, you know what, this isn't going to work. I've seen this before. I'm just going to move on. And one time he said that to the hottest girl he'd ever dated. And his friends laughed and said, "What are you doing? She's so hot." And he says, "Yeah, and I can already tell it's not going to work. It's going to fall apart. She's not in a place or ready for a relationship. She's not in a place to have a relationship," is the best way to put it. And I'm looking for my woman. Now he's married, he's happy, and he's about to have a baby. And the last thing is that when women test you, if she's healthy, she's really wanting to feel your strength as a man. She's wanting to feel that masculinity, that grounding, that containing. See, women test for out of three places as I primarily see it. One is out of their own insecurity. And if she's doing that too much, get rid of her. If she's just insecure and she's nervous and she's constantly testing you to make sure you won't leave her because she doesn't like herself, that's time to move on. Number two is she tests where you're insecure and she's just making sure that you can grow in that area. And this is all unconscious. It's part of nature's programming, so don't take it personal. But if she tests that area and you man up and step into it and wake up in that process, she gets turned on more. She gets attracted more. She bonds to you tighter. And by the way, men can test women too, where they're insecure, where they're playing too small as the feminine. So that's a whole nother story and probably a whole nother video. And then number three, the third reason that women test is when she just wants to get turned on. She's wanting sex and she starts poking at you in a fun, playful way. You poke back and the tension builds, which turns into sexual tension or amplifies the sexual tension. And next thing you know, you two end up in the bedroom. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that fun when that happens? Definitely put that in the comments if you've had that experience and or if you recognize that experience when it happens and the ways that it happens for you. It's time to integrate this now. Let's take a deeper look at how you can bring some of this home for you today. Okay, today I want you to say one uncomfortable truth today, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in business, whether it's in self-talk. Just go out and say one uncomfortable truth to somebody. If you really want to do this and take it serious, say one uncomfortable truth every day for the next week. Journal it, write about it, write what you learn from it. Step into the tension of that, step into the vulnerability of that, practice opening your heart. And you're going to start to learn a lot about yourself, where you're reactive, your tension levels, that type of stuff. Now, when you do this, find a level of tension you can handle. Don't step into so much truth that you blow everything open. Start simple and build your way up. Next thing, practice recognizing tension in the environment and step into it, move into it. I've had clients that would go out and either they do the tension journal throughout the week, but there was another way to do it, which is to do the tension journal for 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour straight, where you're not really even journaling. What you're actually doing with this is you're walking around and finding little bits of tension to step into. I remember when Sam talked about to one of my coaches back in the day. He said, when I first started doing this, I'd see somebody drop a piece of trash and they'd be standing there. They'd throw it on the ground. I'd just walk up, pick it up in front of them and throw it in the trash can in front of them. And they'd watch me do it. And he goes, God, that would make me so uncomfortable. And that's an example of stepping in attention, walking by somebody and saying, nice hat, or walking by a woman and saying, hey, that's a beautiful dress. And then just walking off and not looking for validation in return. Going over and asking somebody a random question on the street and then turning immediately and asking somebody else another question and then continuing on with this process. Maybe you see some people dancing in the street. They're doing a little dance thing and you got a little busker, with this guitar, and you just go out there and you join in the dancing, or maybe you start the dancing. That's another thing you can do. There's so many things you can do. When you walk around in an area where there's a lot of people, you can always find ways to step into tension. So practice stepping into tension, but again, calibrate it. Now, think about it, creating a container. When you do this stuff, this is the calibration part. What kind of container do you need for the next week, 2 weeks, a month to build this area of your life? How much tension can you handle per day? You might find that you go way too much, which is really common for men. In the beginning, they think, I can handle that. I can handle doing 100 highs in an hour. And 10 highs later, they're completely shaking inside. So find a container that works for you, that stays consistent and helps you to grow. And if you're going to journal this, again, that's the best way to do it. Journal it, watch your growth, go back and look at it and readjust your container based on the experiences you're seeing in your journal. And then last but not least, stop worrying about fixing yourself and just grow. Just learn and grow. And one of the best ways to do that is letting go. David Hawkins' book, Letting Go, My Revealing Process, if you've got it. And by the way, if you want to go through the revealing process, we don't have it for sale anymore. Send a message to either landon@truecourage.io, or if this is an older video, there'll be a new version of the revealing process, or energetic letting go. I might be calling it that in the future, on the membership site that we're creating in the near future. And if that's up, go for that. So if you've been shrinking, leaking, you've been avoiding tension, or you've been pushing way too much tension, you're not broken. You're learning, you're growing. That's where I started. I started a total mess. And remember, your masculinity is not toxic. And if I have to say that over and over again, I will. Your masculinity is not toxic. It's beautiful. It's part of what has helped to build this whole world. It's helped to build these communities, and it keeps this world going every day. Plumbing, electricity, construction. If it weren't for men, everything would fall apart so fast if it wasn't for masculinity. So with that said, I want to invite you to drop a comment. Where are you at in your growth with masculinity? Has this video helped you? What are you learning from this video? What challenges do you have? I welcome it all. I'll be checking out those comments, and I look forward to hearing more about what you have to say in this topic. Now, with that said, make sure to watch my previous video because it fits in perfect. The one on stopping trying to be a better man. Stop trying to be a better man. There'll be a link somewhere in the description, and that is the perfect video to go with this one next. And now, with that said, I want to remind you, only the courageous really live, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a beautiful day.